Paras and Parasect, the zombie Pokemon. Welcome everyone, I'm Exceptional and I hope you are too. In this video, we will be seeing how quickly I can defeat Pokemon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, using only my starter, whom I will allow to evolve. Challenge rules are in the description. First of all, Exceptional, what gives? You promised us a new overlay in this video. Well, in order to properly tell the Paras story, I have to take us back to October. I captured this initial footage around the middle of the month, but clearly there were some delays in production. By delays, of course, I mean that this run completely broke my already fragile brain at the time. I choose the nickname Cordyceps because it seems to fit with the Paras theme. Parasitic fungus attaching to a little arthropod beneath? Seemed fitting. Against the rival in the lab, we see a fairly close battle already. Paras is not going to be strong. Also, in keeping with trying to keep the rival's team as difficult as possible, I did go with the Charmander line in this initial playthrough. I don't think I'm going to do that again, but we'll come back to that later. Two things that make this run incredibly difficult are Paras' low speed at only 25 or 30 when we evolve to Parasect, as well as our kind of abysmal typing. At least as far as solo running FireRed is concerned, the grass bug type is going to suffer. We're weak to ice, poison, bug, rock, and 4 times weak against fire and flying. That disadvantage reveals itself early. In only the second battle in Viridian Forest, we get taken out to a Weedle doing just Weedle things. It's a tough one battle through the forest, even having to go back to Viridian City once to heal. And on the other side, in Pewter City, the challenge continues against Brock. I was curious about just feeling out this Brock battle and seeing just how hopeless our situation looks. In the first attempt at only level 10, things aren't looking great. Geodude can absolutely mop the floor with us, and we don't even get him out of green health. Remember too, the Geodude only knows Tackle to damage us, and his much more threatening Onix is going to be firing Rock Tombs. I left to do a little bit of grinding, coming back in at level 12 after learning Poison Powder. I tried the battle once using Poison Powder, and then again using Struggle Strats to see if it made any kind of significant impact. Using our struggle strats, we actually do manage to get past Geodude this time, but then Onix comes out, hitting a single stab super effective Rock Tomb, and the battle is over. More wipes and more grinding later, we're back at level 16, continuing to try new things. I've been trying combinations of both Poison Powder to increase our damage output, or Stun Spore to reduce his consistency, but it's just not working still. We're able to make it through Geodude fairly consistently now, but its Onix is just such a problem. At level 17, and now nearly 30 minutes into this run, we're finally gonna see a successful attempt. I feel like it's successful more because Onix just decides to miss a couple of extra times, but hey, I'll take it. While Onix was missing, Poison Powder did just enough additional damage for us to secure the knockout and the first badge. 30 minutes in, 1 badge. Just to add insult to injury, not 2 minutes later do we find a move at the start of Mount Moon that would have solved Brock almost instantly. We pick up TM9 Bullet Seed, which would have been 4 times super effective in that Brock battle, as well as gaining the stab benefit or same type attack bonus. Ah yes, the Paras experience. On the other side of the cave, I make sure to grab the Dome Fossil. I will also mention that I have been taking the time to defeat a few extra trainers through the tunnel here because Paras. Rival 2 in Cerulean City is not going to be kind to us. As such, once we hit Cerulean City, I make sure to heal up and then target Misty first. On paper, you'd think that we'd have a relatively easy time here, but again, we're a Paras. We do have a type advantage here, and using our shiny new Stab Bullet Seed against Staryu, we can actually take it out in a single turn. Against Starmie, I try setting up a Stun Spore right away to paralyze it and cut its consistency. Bullet Seed continues to do these incredible 4 and 5 hit turns, but it's just not doing enough damage. Starmie recovers, Misty uses super potions, and Cordyceps just cannot stand up for that long against a second stage Pokemon. But wait a minute, I have a recovery move too! At level 19 we learned Leech Life, which in this generation only has 20 base power, but it's still a stab move that is super effective against Starmie that also helps us to recover a little bit. I make sure to use the same strategy of paralyzing it because it worked so well last time. But instead of relying on Bullet Seed, I'm relying on Leech Life so that we can get a little bit of recovery along the way as well. That additional recovery, along with Starmie's cut consistency, allows us a second try victory. Well, that wasn't too bad. But then we have to talk about the Rival 2 problem. In this first attempt, you can see just how much trouble that we're in. We are dealing absolutely pathetic amounts of damage to Pidgeotto, and once it decides to attack us, a single stab, 4 times super effective Gust hits us for more than half, and yeah, the battle is over shortly after that. After a few more wipes, we're back in the grass just outside of Cerulean, past that darn one-way ledge. I've done enough grinding to level up Paris to level 24, so we can now evolve into Parasect. This evolution provides us with some much-needed base stats, but as I mentioned earlier, our speed is still only going to be 30. Let's hoping that the rest of those stats can offset this rival battle. As it turns out, they do! Thank goodness. Pidgeotto seems more intent on reducing our accuracy, which leaves us with enough health to survive Charmander's incredibly scary stab, Ember. That Ember, one of the weakest fire moves from the first stage unboosted Charmander, did almost half. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not gonna get better as we move through the game. Moving forward, I of course make sure to pull down Camper Flint in order to gain access to TM43's secret power. Our 95 base attack is definitely going to benefit from having something stronger than Scratch to use. Then down on the SSN, I'm making sure to grab pretty much every item. This run definitely felt like one that I was going to need all of it for. Then against Rival 3 on the SSN, I get to show off a move that is really Parasect's saving grace. After evolving at level 27, we learn Spore. Spore is a move that will put the opponent to sleep with 100% accuracy, barring sand attacks from Pidgeotto, of course. If Cordyceps did not get Spore, I do not feel that this run would even be possible. Secret Power is definitely putting down a lot of additional damage against our rival, and against his Charmeleon, I make sure to use Spore, putting him to sleep and securing the victory from there. It seems that as long as we're not getting hit, we're okay. Oh boy. Our next gym leader is Lieutenant Surge. It's against this battle that I finally started to feel a little bit like a powerful Pokemon. We're able to one-shot both his lead Voltorb and Pikachu, and against Raichu, I'm trying to put him to sleep again. As it turns out, Secret Power is a very comfortable 2-shot, so putting him to sleep was just wasting a little bit of time. We can finish the Surge battle taking minimum damage. Well, that was a nice change of pace. Let's go back to feeling weak again. On the way to Rock Tunnel, I'm of course making sure to grab TM40 Aerial Ace. Cordyceps is one of those strange Pokemon that's going to end up switching from special to physical between leagues, but I don't quite know how that's going to look yet. I mean, I do now, but during the run at least, I did not. We can fast forward all the way to Celadon City, where I've just defeated the Rocket Hideout and am preparing myself for the next gym leader. On my way down to face Erica, I make sure to grab the coin case. A strange call, you might think, because Parasect doesn't really learn any moves from the game corner, but we can make use of the Miracle Seed once I have the cash to buy it. Powering up our grass moves sounds a-okay to me, because this poor guy needs all of the help he can get. Against Erica as well, we actually have a fairly easy time. I can use Spore to keep her Pokemon asleep as much as I need to, while super effective Aerial Ace is going to be doing the bulk of the damage. This battle seems quite dominant, and it actually is, but it allows me the opportunity to point out our speed again. Imagine, if you will, what this battle would have looked like if every single one of her Pokemon actually outsped us. Spore is an incredibly powerful move, but it is definitely offset by that 30 base speed. That's 4 badges. We can move on to Pokemon Tower next. In order to progress up the tower, we have to get through another rival battle. This is a really odd point in the game where as long as you know to go get the Sylph Scope first, you're generally quite over-leveled for this battle. And I feel like it shows as we absolutely mash our way through the rival's team, at least until we hit Gyarados. His Intimidate cutting our physical attack makes us resort back to moves like Bullet Seed, which really just aren't doing that much damage. I may have just been whining after the Lieutenant Surge battle, when I complained about not being very powerful, but this weird point in the game with the level curve is probably when things are actually going to start falling off again. As a fun little editor's note, I am reviewing this footage for the first time while making this script. We're on this adventure together. That fall-off really starts revealing itself in Sylph, especially against the next rival battle, but first I have to explain a critical error that I made while playing this. I was so focused on our physical set, looking at sword stance for round 2, that I wasn't really focused on what our plan for round 1 was. We level up to 43 trying to learn Growth, which would increase our special attack stage by 1. The problem is that our moveset is already full of moves that we can't really replace. Return and Aerial Ace are one-time use TMs, whereas with Spore and Growth I could use Tiny Mushrooms with the move relearner on 2 Island. That's what I get for not thinking ahead, so I elected to not teach Growth at this time. Instead of relying on Growth, I was hoping that Return and Aerial Ace would do fine, but let's see how that works against the next major battle, Rival 5. It doesn't. We're starting to see some battles with 3rd stage Pokemon, and as a result of that, our speed is just not cutting it anymore. His lead Pidgeot tags us with a single stab, 4x super effective wing attack, taking us down from full to a 3rd. The worst news is that Charizard is much faster and much stronger, using a 4x super effective flamethrower to absolutely burn away the last of Cordycep's health. I was not going to sit there beating my head against that one, so here we are down in the Safari Zone. I pretty much took a straight shot down Cycling Road to get here because there's something that might help with our speed problem. Well held, the Quick Claw gives us a 20% chance to move first within our priority bracket. This means that despite our awful speed, we have a 1 in 5 chance of moving first as long as the opponent isn't using a move like Quick Attack or Egg Stream Speed. Before committing myself to doing a bunch of grinding, I did want to check out what the next gym leader battle, Koga, would look like. We are facing a type disadvantage again against his poison types, but we have a saving grace. Koga's Pokemon are not the fastest out there, so we are able to take control of the battle early with Spore. Return is not able to get a one-shot against Coughing, but that's honestly fine. We didn't see a smokescreen, and that is the big thing that I'm trying to avoid here. Against his Muck and Weezing, I'm relying entirely on just keeping them asleep. As I mentioned earlier, if they're asleep and they can't hit us, it seems that we do a lot better in these battles. That's going to be a first try victory against Koga, so let's go back to Silphco and see if we've made any progress against that rival. That's going to be a big old negative, as after a few attempts we make it to Charizard with full health, which he then removes with a single stab, 4x super effective flamethrower. Off to grind. Coming back into the battle now at level 50, we are going to see a successful attempt. I've definitely been spoiled with the Gamehook live stats because I have no idea what my Parasect speed stat was here. At level 50, we either outspeed his Charizard, which I find doubtful, or we got the 20% chance for a Quick Claw activation. Either way, we moved first, put him to sleep, and then took out Charizard. The rest of his team follows suit, and we do level up to 51 during the battle, learning Giga Drain. Looking back at this footage, I feel that I'm going to have a much better time with Parasect under our updated rule set, but we're going to get there. I just had to show you this first run. Yes, and all of the pain within. I hope you're enjoying watching me suffer. Let's check out Sabrina next. I feel like I've spent this whole video so far talking about how terrible Cordyceps is, but let's talk about what they're really good at. Our attack stat at 95 is pretty good. We can absolutely stomp through Sabrina's team. And with her Ace Alakazam in the back outspeeding us, I would say that that points towards the Quick Claw activating in that Rival 5 battle against Charizard. Oof, editor me just remembered the leagues in this run. You'll see. Sabrina falls and our path leads us across the sea to another fiery foe. Looking back, I can't speak to my exact state of mind when running this, but looking at the clock at 1 hour and 30 minutes, I'm guessing that I was looking for progress. Regardless of consequence. I'm running right by all of these juicy speed EVs, but don't worry, Blaine is about to give us a reality check. On top of boasting a 4x weakness to Blaine's primary typing, we also have the problem that his lead Growlithe is going to intimidate us, as will his Ace Arcanine. I of course lead with Spore, putting Growlithe to sleep right away, and take him out in short order. Then Ponyta comes out, definitely bursting our bubble, outspeeding and hitting a massive Fire Blast. We cling on at 14% health, but that's Ponyta. Never mind Rapidash and Arcanine. We don't stand a chance here. 8 minutes of grinding later and I'm ready to try again. Most of my grind focused on speed EVs. Back in the battle, I confidently one-shot both Growlithe and Ponyta with a single return each. At level 58, we outspeed Rapidash using Spore to get a free turn of damage against him. Even including the Intimidate, we're doing pretty respectable damage with neutral returns. We also now outspeed Arcanine, being able to use the same Spore and smack him around strategies that we used on Rapidash. That is finally 7 badges at nearly an hour and 40 minutes into this run. With a round 2 finish in mind, we're now off to the Sevi Islands to help out Bill. It gives a little bit of mandatory experience along the way, plus it opens up a lot of areas that we can train in. In this initial run with Cordyceps, I did not do a lot of additional training in the Sevi Islands, however, it's nice to not have to backtrack later. Our next bit of action is against the final gym leader, Giovanni. This is one of those rare battles where we get to feel really strong again. One of the absolute banes of my existence with physical attackers is the ability Poison Point. Because I kind of forced myself into a physical set, we're definitely making a lot of contact in this fight, getting poisoned by his Nidoqueen after annihilating his first 2 Rhyhorns. Cordyceps doesn't care though. We can smash through both of his Nidos, leaving Dugtrio in the back. Who, what the heck, let's switch to Giga Drain and get some recovery back. Cordyceps shrugs off the poison, no problem. Well, we're still poisoned and we have to get some medicine immediately, but you know what I mean. Giovanni falls, as does the gym challenge, leaving us with Rival 6 and another Charizard problem before we can start talking about those leagues. Against Rival 6, we actually feel pretty in control at the start of the battle. I put Pidgeot to sleep right away with Spore and then take it down with 2 more shots, Rhyhorn comes out and we Giga Drain that away. I'm feeling good about this. Then Charizard comes out, outspeeding, hitting a single flamethrower, and the battle is over. I don't want to dwell too long on this battle because, well, we have bigger Charizards to be fried by. On our 9th Rival 6 attempt, we finally get a Quick Claw activation, putting Charizard to sleep, and he stays asleep long enough that we can defeat him. After that, the battle does belong to us, but, yeah. Life is not gonna get easier for Cordyceps against that Charizard. But with that one out of the way, we can start talking about the Round 1 League. Let's jump in. Because this is a Gen 1 remake, of course the Ice-type Elite is basically a water trainer. This puts us in an interesting situation as her ice moves are gonna hurt a whole lot against us, but we at least have the ability to recover with Stab's super effective Giga Drains. I'm starting to feel like I'm gonna have to take my foot out of my mouth because I keep saying how terrible Cordyceps is and how bad these leagues are, but with Spore on our side, this is going pretty well. I mean, it's not a guaranteed victory by any means, but it's definitely working. We end up with a hard-fought victory against Lorelei on the first attempt. Let's check out Bruno. Giga Drain is going to continue being amazing for us as we can take out his lead Onix in a single stab 4-time super effective strike. Hitmonchan is out next, hitting a super effective Rock Tomb that reduces our speed. I made a poor move choice using Giga Drain instead of Aerial Ace right off the bat, and we end up taking a little bit of additional damage, so we're a bit hurt already when his Ace Machamp hits the field. Machamp bulks up, and as he bulks up, our chances of winning start to fall. We're doing less damage and he's doing more, and he ends the battle with a super effective Rock Tomb. You can basically just rinse and repeat that process twice more as I continue to wipe. In this attempt, we are able to keep our opponents asleep long enough in order to see a successful battle. By the end of it though, our Spore PP is under half, and we are not halfway through this league yet. We've been able to put some impressive damage onto our foes, but that damage output is about to drop against the next 2 trainers. Against the majority of Agatha's team, we only have 2 moves that hit, Aerial Ace with only 60 base power and Giga Drain, which is resisted. Oh, and her team is absolutely littered with poison-type moves that we are weak against. We aren't even going to talk about the 4-time super effective flying moves that Golbat can put down on us because we're not going to make it there. A combination of Stab's super effective Sludge Bombs from her Arbok and Ace Gengar are way more than Cordyceps can handle. Because I don't want to dwell too long in this first league, I'm skipping us ahead nearly 20 minutes of gameplay and 8 more resets. I've left the league to do a bunch of grinding, and oh, grinding I did. I suspected that round 2 would have a lot in store for us, so I refused to use any rare candies, getting all the way up to level 73 in this attempt. The biggest difference in this battle is, you guessed it, speed. Being able to move first and put our opponents to sleep is definitely pivotal to our strategy, but we're 20 levels higher than our opponents right now. With that in mind, check out how much damage Golbat's Air Cutter does to us. 90 damage, that's just under half of our health, and that's from a Golbat 20 levels lower than us. Ugh, I shudder to think about that Crobat in round 2. I shouldn't even be thinking about that right now, as this Golbat wakes up taking us down again. In the next attempt, I couldn't help but throw my hands in the air, waving them like I just didn't care. I dipped into those rare candies, using 5 of them in order to hopefully outspeed Golbat. It looks like at level 78, we finally outspeed the level 54 Pokemon. This finally gives us a successful Agatha battle, but we're not done in this league yet. Lance is next. His lead Gyarados is going to intimidate us, cutting our physical damage at the start of every battle. Even so, we get the upper hand against him quickly with Spore. Again, I'm not exactly sure what Cordycep's speed is at this point in the run, but if Agatha's Golbat at 129 speed was giving us so much trouble, how much trouble is this Aerodactyl at 173? Especially when his stab super effective wing attacks hit us for about 3/4 of our health. That's gonna be a problem. Or maybe no problem at all. This run was captured back when my rule set allowed for hidden power in the first run, and you bet your butts that I had HP Rock sitting in the wings. I taught it over Aerial Ace for a current moveset of Return, HP Rock, Giga Drain, and Spore. Using those moves in combination allows us for a successful battle against Lance as long as that Aerodactyl stays asleep. He does in this battle, and it's by no means a free victory, as we end up paralyzed and at about a third health at the end of it, but hey, it's a victory. Let's check out the Round 1 champion. We start the battle against the champion with some bad news. Bird Brains outspeeds us, and a single stab 4x super effective Aerial Ace does over half to us. This is his lead, and also not his fastest Pokemon, and his lead puts us down. Let's jump ahead about 5 minutes and 15 resets to where I've also used 4 rare candies and am now attempting at level 83. We now outspeed Bird Brains, so at least we can take control early. I don't want to get into the statistics and the probability and yada yada yada, but I see this battle as being a 15% win chance. 15% is the chance that Charizard misses Fire Blast. He does in this attempt, and being able to fire back with our own 4x super effective HP Rock definitely made the difference here. I did skip a fair amount of resets here, but like I said in the Rival 6 battle, we have a bigger Charizard to be fried by. With his ace out of the way though, the rest of his team falls in fairly short order, and we can see a successful champion battle. Alright, I have to admit, I wanted to edit this run to remind myself what I was in store for before playing Parasect again. Editing me is shaking his head, wondering why I've decided to do this. Cordyceps clocks in with a round 1 time of 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 38 seconds at level 83 with 54 resets. This took 7 hours and 46 minutes of game time. Right, so who's ready for round 2? The only thing to report between the leagues is that I of course grabbed the leftovers, and I'm on 7 Island teaching Swords Dance. I can tell you without a doubt that I was hopeful that round 2 would not be as bad because of Swords Dance. We'll see. With the power of Swords Dance and HP Rock on our side, this battle should actually be quite easy. I use Spore to put Dugong to sleep right away, just for safety. I then set up a single turn of SD and start hammering away with HP Rock. We can absolutely sweep our way through her team until I make a misclick against Lapras. I went for Return instead of super effective HP Rock, so we miss the knockout and take a heavy Ice Beam as a consequence. I correct my error immediately, going for HP Rock on the next turn and ending the battle. Round 2 Lorelei, not so bad. Let's check out Bruno. In order to teach Swords Dance, I replaced Giga Drain, which might have messed up my chances against this Steelix. We can only hit him for resisted damage with our current set, so I put him to sleep hoping to avoid rock tombs. We end up getting hit by a single one, dropping our speed, but it also did about half damage to us, granted it was a critical. I set up to +6 so our attack is sky high, but our already low speed is reduced even further. As a result, we're taking big hits from super effective rock moves, and Machamp ends the battle. In the next battle, I'm following the exact same strategy, but this time it just works better. We did still end up getting tagged by a rock tomb, but at least it wasn't a crit this time. With our setup in, despite taking a few hits throughout the battle, we are able to one-shot Bruno's entire team. For a little bit of safety at the end of the battle, because I know I couldn't one-shot, I decided to put his final Steelix to sleep, and there goes the battle. Swords Dance is making a big impact, but we have some very tough Pokemon ahead of us. Against Agatha, I managed to get a Spore off on her as she misses Hypnosis on the first turn. Speed is another big issue in this fight. I set up to +4 with Swords Dance, taking out her lead Gengar with HP Rock. From there, it's pretty much smashy, hoping to avoid as much damage as possible until we hit that Crobat that I was talking about in round 1. It's definitely faster than us, confusing us on the first turn, which results in us hitting ourselves for big damage. Yeah, we hit ourselves with +4 power as well, remember. Seeing the opportunity for a knockout, Crobat then switches to Air Cutter and the battle is over. A couple of attempts later, all I was fishing for is a little bit of luck. I was mostly looking for luck against Crobat, but heck, in this battle we get a Quick Claw activation against both her Ace Gengar and Crobat. This means that we one-shot both of them and we see a successful battle. Inch by inch, we are fighting our way through this league. The last member of the Elite Four is the Dragon Doctoral Lance. In round 2, Lance's lead Gyarados lives to paralyze you, so I put him to sleep with Spore right away. I assumed that I would want at least +5 for this battle, so I set up 2 Swords Dances, opening myself up to Gyarados waking up and landing a Thunder Wave. Paralyzed and already feeling pretty bad, we make it to his Aerodactyl, who at 208 speed is gonna be another problem. Paralyzed or not, Aerodactyl is gonna outspeed Cordyceps, and that stab super effective Aerial Ace hurts a lot. Let's tick up another reset. Skipping ahead another few resets, I've dipped into those rare candies again, using my last 3 to get up to level 90. I also have a Cherry Berry equipped so that if Gyarados happens to wake up, we can go through the battle without being paralyzed. Using this approach, I'm able to stay full health all the way up to Aerodactyl and tank a single hit. That single hit was all we needed though, as our super effective HP Rock takes him out. I tear through his next Pokemon, but it's his Ace Dragonite that just about gives me a heart attack. Even he is faster than us right now, hitting a Hyper Beam, dropping Cordyceps down to 5 health. Yeah, no worries. Dragonite falls, as does the Round 2 League, but there's still one final challenge, the Round 2 champion. And here is what I would say is the hardest battle for Cordyceps to navigate. We are able to take control of Heracross early with Spore, however, if he manages to hit through like he does, with a stab super effective Mega Horn, he almost takes us out in a single shot. Let's not even discuss what happens when he lowers our speed. We are nowhere near discussing the Charizard problem because we can't even make it through Tyranitar. His bulk, while being able to strike at us with 4 times super effective Aerial Ace and canceling the healing from leftovers because of Sandstream, it's just not looking great for Cordyceps right now. Alright, when I mentioned that I was out of rare candies earlier, I was mistaken. I was counting based on the amount that are available for pickup in the region, not accounting for what my Meowth army had picked up. I used the, this time, last 3, leveling up to 93 where we're still attempting. If we're able to get good setup against Heracross going all the way to +6 without taking any damage, then there's hope. But that hope relies on one of 2 outcomes. I either need to have the Quick Claw activate to outspeed Charizard, or I need him to miss Fire Blast, so a 20% chance and a 15% chance respectively. Either one of those options would be fine, because if Charizard hits Fire Blast, the battle is over. So how many tries do you think it would reasonably take to get that outcome? Well, here we are on the 29th attempt against the champion, and I still haven't seen it. I feel like this egregiously bad luck definitely contributed to this run breaking my brain. I remember telling myself that if I hit 80 resets, it was time to do something differently. After dropping my file into PKHeX, the only thing that I changed was Cordycep's moveset. No cheated rare candies, no leveling up, just moves. We're now rocking a set of HP Rock, Substitute, Swords Dance, and Spore. What a moveset. A consequence of Tyranitar coming out is that he activates a Sandstorm that just doesn't end. Oh, Gen 3. Because I've had the Quick Claw equipped up to this point, we don't have any recoveries from leftovers, and as a result, because of the number of turns that we're taking in this attempt, we are going to lose again. There is the silver lining that with Substitute, we are seeing a better attempt than I have seen in the last 30. It wasn't the Quick Claw that saved us from Charizard this time, it was the Decoy. We faint again, but I might actually see a path through this. In the next attempt with the leftovers equipped, we're able to get our +6 against Heracross and have a Decoy up. With that level of setup, we are able to take out Tyranitar because Rock does not resist Rock. I know, it's mind-blowing. And then it's once again the Decoy that soaks Charizard's Fire Blast, protecting our Cordyceps from sure annihilation. +6, 4 times super effective HP Rock deals with the biggest problem on his team in a single shot. Thanks to the recovery of leftovers and despite the ongoing damage of the Sandstorm, we are able to see a successful attempt this time. Again, I cannot speak exactly to my state of mind at the time, but I know that I was not in a good place. Gosh, it felt good to finish this run though. I do remember on the walk to the Hall of Fame with Professor Oak that my mind was absolutely spinning, thinking, how am I going to solve this thing? What am I going to do? And zzz, Cordyceps clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 33 seconds at level 93 with 81 resets. This took 8 hours and 46 minutes of game time. Alright, playthrough 2, and look at the shiny new overlay. There may be a thing or two to tweak in the runs going forward, but I like the looks of this new one. Let me know what you think as well. This second playthrough is being played nearly 4 months after the first one, but what the heck, let's get into it. For the changes made in the second run, I'm going with a naive nature, increasing our speed and decreasing our special defense. I figured if our special defense is getting hit, we're pretty much getting one shot anyway. I'm looking at you, Charizard. For a nickname, I choose Zombug Ting instead of the typical one character name in our second runs because, well, Paris is special. I apparently have a threshold to how much of this thing I can handle in a short span of time, and I just had to have a little bit of fun with this one. I have to shout out JP the Flipper for the nickname suggestion. Among all of you that have kept the Paris discussion alive on my channel, JP has definitely been the spearhead of that movement. Also, I can't get too far without mentioning our egg move of choice, Psybeam. I foresee Psybeam making some big time saves in this run, especially in the upcoming grind in Viridian Forest. And help it does, avoiding a trip back to the Viridian Poké Center and just cruise controlling through all of those Weedles that gave us so much trouble last time. Before entering the Brock battle, I even defeated camper Liam in the gym just for that little bit of additional experience. Let's see how this goes with Psybeam on our side. Actually, quite well. Geodude falls quickly to a barrage of Psybeams, not taking any damage ourselves. Onyx comes out and you'd think we'd be in trouble from Rock Tomb, but the AI sees this more as a speed control. As long as our speed is low enough and our HP is high enough that we aren't in knockout range, he will not be using Rock Tomb, and there goes the battle. We end the battle at level 13 this time instead of like 17, 18, with 6 minutes on the clock instead of 26. I think even more than that. Gosh, I'm hoping I enjoy this Paris run more than I did the last one. The path through the next section remains mostly unchanged as I'm still doing a significant amount of grinding. Even with Psybeam on our side, I don't see Rival 2 in Cerulean City being a cakewalk. On the way out of the cave, of course I'm grabbing the Dome Fossil. Hopefully I did enough grinding through the cave in order to not complain about these one-way ledges. Wait, new year, new attitude. That's probably why it feels just like I'm falling for the first time. Ba 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 ba. After defeating both trainers in her gym, I target Misty next. This battle is going to unfold exactly how you saw it unfold last time, just a little bit smarter. Including all of the grinding that I've done up to this point, I was really hoping to hit level 24 to evolve to Parasect before facing Rival 2. We defeat Misty using the same strategy as last time, relying heavily on Bullet Seed, and at the end of the battle we're about 2/3 of the way through level 22. We still need another level and a third to hit that Parasect goal. Full disclosure, this run is not as optimized as my typical second playthroughs. I figured that I would need to be a Parasect, but I decided to try the battle anyway. How does that go? Well, let's ask Pidgeotto's stab 4x super effective Gusts. Yeah, they hurt just as much as last time. Shocker, I know. Alright, let's go to the grass. I defeated a couple of wild Pokémon leveling up to 23 and then decided to tie into one of those rare candies that we've collected. I typically avoid using rare candies this early, but I just felt that the time saved from grinding in the grass would be worth it in the long run. I hope. After evolving and 2 additional wipes to Rival 2 because of Sand Attack, always the Sand Attack, we see a successful battle. Psybeam gives us the damage output to 2-shot both Pidgeotto and Charmander, but we do have to hit. Just like last run, you can see how much damage his Charmander's Ember is doing to us. My thinking was that in the later parts of the game I would be able to avoid being hit by most of these fire moves. That was the hope anyway. Rival 2 falls, so let's keep moving. On the way south, I am absolutely going to be picking up an army of Meowths. Given that we saw how effective Hidden Power Rock was in the first run, I'm pretty sure nobody is surprised to hear that I'm going for it again. Then, after suffering 1 additional reset to, you guessed it, Sand Attack, we can see a battle that is fairly representative of the Paris experience. We are gonna wipe again in this one, but I feel it really demonstrates just how squishy we are. Charmeleon's Ember is definitely doing more damage, so we need him to stay asleep. The fact that everybody outspeeds us also doesn't help as we take the final little bits of damage at the end of the battle. We then defeat him on the next attempt because Charmeleon stayed asleep, and we can move on to Lieutenant Surge. Just like last time, Surge falls quite easily, and we quickly find ourselves in the mid-game. Nothing really is going to change significantly from the last playthrough aside from the fact that I'm going to be a little bit smarter with how I structure my moveset, I think. I'm going to be relying more on our special attack in the first round, hoping to piggyback on the power of growth. I'm not entirely sure that this was the right call, as in so many battles we're relying on taking as few turns as possible, and setting up takes turns. We'll see what that looks like as we move forward. I defeat Erica next, this time using Psybeam instead of Aerial Ace, and then we're quickly in Pokemon Tower defeating Rival 4. The next stop is then in Silphco, where I'm collecting all of the items, though in hindsight this was kind of a waste of time. Granted, I am doing a touch of training along the way, which we do need, however, Zombugting is definitely Mr. Moneybags by the end of this run. Given all of the additional nuggets that our Meowth army is getting us because of the grinding that we have to do, I think by the time I enter round 2, I end up buying something like 53 full restores. I don't even think that we ended up using 5 throughout the entire playthrough. We'll get back to that. This is when the run actually changes course a little. I follow the same path as last time, jumping straight down Cycling Road to get to the Safari Zone, picking up the Quick Claw, and now we're ready to face Koga. I haven't been doing any additional training along the way as I've been saving that training for a couple of minutes from now. I was trying as hard as I could to optimize our EVs. We'll see if it ends up panning out. Against Koga, I'm able to put his lead coughing to sleep, set up a single growth, and then stomp through his team with super effective Psybeams. Looking at the damage against this Weezing, I probably could have set up a single additional growth and we would have been in a better position. No worries though, Koga is down, unlocking the ability to surf. We don't have a Pokemon that's capable of surfing, and I don't really want to go catch one, so I use the Gift Eevee from the backside of the Celadon condominiums. I can then use a Water Stone to evolve it into Vaporeon, and hey, we're ready to cross the sea. The reason I skipped a bunch of that grinding is to make it to Blaine's gym, where we're going to be able to collect a ton of very nifty speed EVs. I was trying so hard to optimize our speed grinding, and, well, you'll see in the leagues just how close it is. The problem with Zombugting grinding in Blaine's gym is that we have a significant weakness to the fire type. We get absolutely fried by Burglar Quinn's Vulpix. I did suffer 2 total resets while grinding in Blaine's gym, but then it was off to Cycling Road, the Fighting Dojo, and really anywhere else that I could find reasonably dense XP with decent EVs. All of these Coughings and Weezings are decent in XP, but they also are giving us defense EVs. I'm hoping that increasing our defensive capabilities will allow us an easier time setting up in the future. All of this grinding does not lead us back to Blaine, however. Now at level 55, we head back to Silphco to take on Rival 5. To which Rival 5 says, "Get wrecked." His lead Pidgeot, of course, hits a critical 4x super effective wing attack to lead off the battle, leaving us at 22 health. This is part of what I meant by not having a fully optimized run. Let's investigate Parasec's speed right now, 88. Charizard has 92 in this battle, so with 5 additional speed points, we would have the upper hand. I quickly realized this, doing a little bit of additional grinding, getting to level 57 before trying again. It also helps that Pidgeot doesn't wake up and crit us, but with the ability to outspeed Charizard, we can put him to sleep as well, and the battle is ours from there. We'll consider this the first instance of our speed just falling short. One thing that I did not consider while planning this route is despite our plus speed nature, we did not spend an inordinate amount of time in the grass outside of Pewter grinding. As such, no matter how much time I put into our speed EVs, they're still likely going to be lower than last run. We then get an additional reset against Sabrina because Parasect, but we can defeat her on the next attempt at full health, because Parasect. And this leads us finally back to our 7th gym leader, Blaine. He's the fire-type leader, and we are not going to be relying on physical prowess this time, so I'm gonna need some setup. Clearly, this setup is going to be incredibly dangerous, as if his Growlithe wakes up, even a non-critical stab 4x super effective Fire Blast almost one-shots us. This is likely another battle that we're going to get through based on luck, masked with a little bit of strategy. And that luck reveals itself after a couple of attempts. You'd think watching this back that we are not very lucky, as Growlithe wakes up hitting a stab 4x super effective Fire Blast, taking us from full to 2 hit points. But as it turns out, Growlithe stole all of the coffee from the other Pokemon today. We do level up, increasing our health all the way to 4 out of 162. And thank goodness for all of that speed training. Blaine's fastest Pokemon is Rapidash at 93, Arcanine is at 84, and we definitely outspeed both right now. They both snooze away long enough that we're able to see a successful battle this time. Thankfully, with the exception of that Charizard, this should be the last time that we're under a serious threat from fire. After completing the first part of the Sevii Island plotline and some additional training in Giovanni's gym, we find ourselves against the final gym leader. It feels so good to put his lead Rhyhorn to sleep, set up 2 Growths against it, and then sweep his team with Psybeam. His Dugtrio in the back is fast enough to outspeed us, but that's it. We take a single hit and finish the gym challenge. Oh boy, here we go though. There's one last challenge before the leagues, and I don't know if I'm ready. Hello and welcome to the We're Hoping for a Quick Claw activation segment of the run. In this battle, Charizard has a speed stat of 126, so that's not happening. If we do not get the activation, then Charizard's stab 4x super effective flamethrower can annihilate us from full. After a couple of tries though, we finally get the activation and put Charizard to sleep. Thankfully, he stays asleep and we're able to see a successful battle. I really tried to minimize the amount of time we spent hoping for Quick Claw activations, but against the Charizard team, they're just a reality. Among the myriad of Parasect conversations that we've had over the last few months, one really stood out to me. It was suggested that instead of facing the rival's Charmander team, we instead face Squirtle. I feel that that would actually shift how the run's trajectory would go fairly significantly. If that's a run that you're interested in seeing, let me know in the comments. But you know, be sure to rally behind each other because it's gonna take some convincing to get me to play this thing again. Rival 6 falls and we are ready to jump into the Round 1 League. Along with a little bit of additional grinding in Victory Road, we find ourselves against Lorelei at level 65. I've now deleted Secret Power in favor of Giga Drain, so we are now rocking a fully special set backed up by Spore. Stab Giga Drain is going to give us some great recovery throughout this league, and I'm hoping that that's enough to carry us through. You can see that we're taking some big hits when Lorelei decides to use an ice move against us. The biggest threat on the team is actually Jinx, mostly because she outspeeds and can put us to sleep. As it happens in this battle, we just so happen to get a Quick Claw activation against her, and the battle is over shortly after. Both her Ace Lappers and Cloyster are one-shots with Giga Drain, so we are ready to move on to member 2, Bruno. Against him, we're once again facing a situation where we can simply put his lead to sleep, set up a couple of growths, and hopefully win the battle. The time investment into our defensive EVs definitely help us here, but are actually going to help us more with Agatha, believe it or not. With the recovery of Giga Drain against his Onyxuses and the power of set up Psybeam against his fighting types, we can see a first try success. That includes getting our speed reduced early in the battle. Speed. Who needs it? I do. I need speed. Bruno falls, so let's check out Agatha. I had mentioned our defense EVs helping us out against Agatha, but how does that make sense? In Generation 3, all poison-type attacks are physical, so Agatha's ghosts are hitting us for much less damage. We got another Quick Claw activation allowing us to put her lead Gengar to sleep right away, grabbing 2 turns of setup against her and then an additional turn against Arbok. From there, our super effective Psybeams are enough to carry the battle. I will admit to a little bit more luck in this battle as Golbat's Air Cutter ends up missing. From 78 health, I do not feel confident that we would have survived that shot. But hey, she missed, so we win. Let's move on to Lance. Skipping right by a couple of resets because his Ace Dragonite's stab 4x super effective wing attacks hurt a lot, we can see what I came up with for Lance. After using 3 rare candies and leveling up to 70, we not only outspeed his lead Gyarados now, but we have better damage ranges. It's not often I'm talking about damage ranges in this one, it's all about that speed it seems. Being able to outspeed that lead Gyarados was critical because we need to set up all the way to +6 in this battle. I have a little bit of leeway in the damage that I can take from Gyarados because I take him out with a stab Giga Drain. Aerodactyl is out next, of course outspeeding, hitting a 4x super effective wing attack, but we're able to counter with Giga Drain again, restoring our health almost to full while taking out the fossil Pokemon. Then, as long as his Ace Dragonite stays asleep for like a turn, we should see a successful battle. We take him down, and then against the Dragonairs, I was still scared and not wanting to be paralyzed, so I put the first one to sleep, but realized I had the one-shot. Alright, that's Lance down, let's check out the Round 1 champion. Again, skipping by a bunch of resets because you've already seen Charizard nuke our health bar enough times. Actually, here, have one more because we definitely need more of this in this run. The disappointing thing about this attempt is that we get the miss from Fire Blast, but even at +6, our Psybeam is not strong enough to take out Charizard in a single shot. And after nearly 20 resets, we're going to see a successful champion battle. But what did I change? Well, after seeing what that +6 Psybeam did to Charizard, I've decided to switch tactics. Let's forget about all of this setup nonsense and just go for HP Rock. 16 of these resets that you're seeing are me just hunting for either a Fire Blast miss or a Quick Claw activation. We finally see it in this battle, taking out Charizard in a single shot. We're not out of the woods yet though, as Alakazam comes out and presents a little bit of a problem putting up a Reflect. We lack the damage to take him out in 2 shots, so we do a little bit of a dance, also setting up a couple more growths in the hope that we could get some recovery from Giga Drain. I managed to snag a little bit of recovery as the battle wears on, and we are going to see a successful battle here, but my goodness. This is definitely one of those cases where I'm wondering if we should not have leaned so heavily into our special side, instead just focusing on our unboosted physical side through this league. Ugh, this Pokemon. Either way, round 1 is finished. I haven't exactly nailed down what it is about Parasect that just isn't clicking with me, but it's definitely something. I have to admit that this is a Pokemon that I just don't enjoy playing. Zombug Ting clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 58 seconds at level 80 with 43 resets. This took 5 hours and 55 minutes of game time. Nothing about what happens between the leagues changes between the 2 runs. You bet your butts that I'm still picking up leftovers, and of course Swords Dance. Growth may have fallen off as a setup move for us, but Swords Dance will not. Whew, okay, shake it off, man. Let's jump into those round 2 leagues. Whoa, hey, exceptional, where did the extra 15 resets and 15 minutes on the timer come from? Well, I've been grinding against the league. As you're about to see, we're able to deal with Lorelei quite effectively, and honestly, she's pretty good for experience. She's worth 12,347 experience points in total, and we can farm her reasonably quickly. With the set that we have, though, I can only play around with one move slot, which is why I've not been able to also farm Bruno. Ugh, that move set. Substitute, Swords Dance, Spore, and HP Rock. Hey, if it works, right? The only thing to mention in this battle is that I do make sure to set up a decoy before making it to Jinx, simply because she's always gonna outspeed us and can put us to sleep or attract us or do all kinds of silly things like that. As long as she kisses our puppet in this battle, we should be fine. I know that this is the first time that you've seen it, but for me as a player, I was definitely ready to move on to an actual Bruno attempt. The reason that we couldn't really attempt Bruno properly before this is because of that restricted moveset. HP Rock, even at +6 against his Steelixes, did very little damage. They are defensive walls after all, and HP Rock was 4 times resisted. We still have to fight through with a resisted move here, however, Return increases our damage output pretty significantly. I still set up all the way to +6, relying on our defensive stats and Substitute to block the incoming Rock Tombs. As long as we don't have our speed reduced by 1 stage, we will outspeed everything in this battle. The only thing that could have made this battle more effective is having the leftovers equipped instead of the Quick Claw, but between Substitute and Spore, we really didn't need it. I hope you enjoyed seeing Return's appearance in this second playthrough because against Agatha, it's useless, so it's being deleted. Against Agatha, I'm hoping for one of 2 outcomes against her lead. Either she misses Hypnosis like she does in this battle, or we get a Quick Claw activation and put her to sleep. Once we have that established, we can set up a decoy to avoid any further Hypnosises and get our setup in with Swords Dance. I can then set up 2 SDs against her lead Gengar, and +4 HP Rock carries the battle for us. The battle is definitely not free from there, as we get outsped by her Ace Gengar, who breaks our decoy, and now we're exposed to her Crobat's Air Cutter. Thankfully, it does not crit, but it still takes us from green bar all the way down to about a quarter. At least we outspeed Misdreavus in the back, so we do not take a 3rd shot, and as such, we can win the battle. At least with the Dragon Doctoral Lance, we can rely on a little bit of cheese. Against Lance, there really isn't much to say that I haven't said before. I use Spore to put his lead to sleep, and then I can set up a decoy so that once he wakes up, we can just sit here and set up with impunity as he tries to use Thunder Wave against a decoy. We also just so happen to get a Quick Claw activation against Aerodactyl, so we move first and take him out with the decoy intact. His Ace Dragonite does still outspeed us using super effective Ice Beam, but our decoy soaks the damage, and that's a successful battle. Easy peasy. Lance falls, which leaves only that super pesky round 2 champion. I have to take a moment to just thank the Army of Meowths for supplementing my rare candy usage a little bit during this playthrough. By some miracle, I had 1 left, which I used, taking us to level 92. I was so disappointed though when I saw our speed only go up to 149. This means that against Heracross, we are tossing a coin every time to see who goes first. As such, there are quite a few resets, including this one where I get tagged by a Megahorn and just hit the reset button. That's our 69th reset. Nice. The reason that we couldn't take that damage from Heracross is that we just don't have that big of a margin of error in this battle. Taking a bunch of early resets trying to look for favorable circumstances in the first couple of Pokemon definitely saves time in the long run, I feel. Because there's a lot of potential for resets. I would like to be able to have a decoy up when Charizard comes out, however, that also requires going to +6 with Swords Dance against Heracross. The +6 guarantees the one-shot against Tyranitar, who would break our decoy otherwise. In this battle, I'm feeling too threatened and do not end up getting the decoy up, however, when Charizard comes out, we do get the Quick Claw activation. Here's a fun couple of numbers for you. In this battle, Charizard has 178 speed. A level 100 Parasect with a speed-boosting nature and 252 speed EVs only has 174. We will never outspeed Charizard. That's where this strategy was born from. It's incredibly luck-based, but hey, I couldn't think of anything better. As the battle wears on and we continue to struggle against Exeggutor and the perpetual sandstorm damage because we needed the Quick Claw in order to win this battle, even at +6 we aren't able to get the appropriate amount of damage we need downrange. An argument could be made for Aerial Ace, but then what do you get rid of? Spore? Substitute? Both of which were required against Heracross to get our +6. I just don't know, but you know what I do know? Gyarados falls and the round 2 champion is out of here. I had been thinking about doing a third run for Parasect here because it had been so long since I played, but honestly, I'm tapped. It's a little surprising to me just how much energy Parasect sapped from me. Zombug Ting clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 32 minutes, and 54 seconds at level 92 with 72 resets. This took 7 hours and 41 minutes of game time. In my frustration with this run, it seems that I also cut the recording off short, so we don't have credits to play over today. Instead, I hope you enjoy me farming Lorelei. Oh, and I was mistaken earlier. I end up buying 51 full restores in one purchase, bringing our total to 84. Yeah, this run, not optimized. So let's review how much time we managed to save between runs. Honestly, the biggest time difference was against Brock simply because we were able to get through the battle pretty quickly with Psybeam and not spend as much time there grinding. You can see that play out in the following couple of gym splits as we find a time loss because we were a lower level and needed to do a little bit more grinding in between, but then that evens out coming into Erica and Koga. We then had to do a significant amount of additional grinding leading into Sabrina and Blaine and Giovanni, finishing the gym challenge just under 18 minutes faster than the first run. We then saved nearly 30 by the end of round 1, however, for whatever reason in round 2, we ended up losing another 8 minutes of that lead. I feel like a lot of that can be chalked up to doing more grinding before the round 2 league. I could have saved my rare candies for later, however, we would have then had to do additional grinding in round 1, and oh my goodness, the things just spiral from there. Our final time save was 21 minutes and 39 seconds, only 1 level lower and 9 less resets. I'm seriously curious about how this playthrough would have gone against the Blastoise team, but not curious enough to care right now. On the tier list, this places Parasect way down here, but not quite as bad as Shuckle. There's definitely room in Parasect's time for improvement, but yeah, I'm over it. Arbitrary goal that I don't feel we're gonna reach. If this video manages to reach 1,000 likes, I will play Parasect again, but this time facing the Blastoise team. There you go. I've had my challenge, now it's your turn. I want to extend a special thank you to those of you generous enough to support the channel financially. Your support makes these videos possible so that I can continue to put all of my effort into producing this content for everyone out there to enjoy. From the bottom of my shell, thank you so much. And thank you for making it to the end of the video. Your watch time and engagement helps my channel to grow so much, so if you feel like I've earned it, consider leaving a like and comment about the run, what you'd like to see in the future, or just to say hi. Next week, we're going to be continuing the starter Pokemon going back to good old Gen 1. After the last few grass types, it is going to feel so good to play Bulbasaur with that poison dual typing. Whew, yeah. Until next time, take care everyone.